I saw something in the news there, and it's kind of interesting. And I just want to talk about it here. And it's sort of like a old classic tale. It's kind of like a old classic rivalry. And that was just seeing Paul McCartney, the Beatles legend, Beatles bassist, songwriter. Just seeing he went on Howard Stern's show, I believe a week or two ago, and of course Howard Stern, being the tremendous interviewer that he is, of course he asked him about the Rolling Stones versus the Beatles, and the comparison, and how the Stones always copied the Beatles, or it always just seemed that way, and of course he kind of threw the alley-oop to Paul McCartney. Really, he knew that Paul McCartney was going to react in the way to say that, of course, that the Rolling Stones aren't as great as the Beatles, and that they tried to copy him, because he said it before, and I don't know if he said it on I believe he has said it on Howard Stern's show before, so it's almost like he set him up again, but that's Howard Stern, man. He's a tremendous interviewer, and he gets these answers out of these people so easily, and like they might not even be thinking about it. And I'm sure, and just hearing McCartney, it's sort of a friendly competition, and that's always what it's been described as. But even Mick Jagger, he kind of came back the other day to Rolling Stone or somebody like that, and was saying, one band is luckily still playing in stadiums, for the past 30, 40 years, 30 years now plus, and the other band hasn't even existed since 1970. So it's like it's hard to you can't really compare. But at the same time, it's sort of an easy judgment for me. The Rolling Stones. I love the Rolling Stones personally more than the Beatles. But at the same time, I respect and can see that the Beatles are greater than the Rolling Stones. You don't really have like that short of a career. I believe it was like 7 to 9 years or something. I believe it was 9 years. And you don't just have that short of a career and put out over 20 albums and concert films and to be as prevalent as they were and to be playing shows everywhere. It's just you don't see that kind of output in that short of a career. Especially not only it's one thing to have that much output, like that many albums, that many concert movies and films and everything. But it's another thing to have that high of quality for so long and to do multiple albums in the same year, But it is kind of, I think it's more than a coincidence when you see, the Beatles put out an album like Sgt. Pepper, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And then all of a sudden you see the Rolling Stones put out, Satanic Majesties, and to have the similar album artwork and to sort of have to see the Stones kind of not go for like a jangly pop, but more of like that kind of sound, I guess you'd say. It's more than a coincidence, obviously, because I think the Stones could sort of see the Beatles' success, and I guess a unique direction that they were going in, because obviously no one was really getting into so many different genres and such a different wide variety of styles, I guess. Like the Beatles were doing it in such a rapid amount of time. So I'm sure the Stones were just trying to keep up, and try to play on that whole rivalry, because it kind of elevates them in a way where it's like, people are trying to equate them, and there's really you can't. They're not equal at the end of the day, I don't think. And it's a comparison that people are always going to continue to make. But I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit, because it's interesting to see how Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney, they still have that competitive fire, and I love it. I love it. I'm here for all of it.